Good morning. So I know all of you are influencers and technology leaders and business decision makers in your respective organizations. And I wanted to give you a technical brief on mobile development. What's going on in mobile development, why it's complex, why it's different from everything else you've done and everything else you've dealt with. So there's a lot of confusion in this area. It's an area where things are expanding rapidly. They're not getting simpler. They're getting more complex. You're getting more options, more opportunities. The marketplace is demanding more mobile. Whether you're a game developer and this is a profit center for you, whether you're representing a retail store and you want to keep customers, or whether you're a nonprofit and you just want to keep in touch with people. There are, at least in 2008, I remember there were 4 times as many phones as computers. 4 times as many phones. Those phones have been replaced by smartphones. And I would guess, especially if you include tablets, at least 10 times as many mobile devices as computers now. This has become individuals' first, quickest access to the internet, to your information, to interacting with you. So it's huge, and it's only going to get bigger. Why is this such a big deal? How many devices are there? Let's see. Think about computers. We had 2 major operating systems. We had Windows, and then there was the Macintosh. When it started up, there really weren't that many platforms. Mobile devices, we have tablets, we have phones, we have Android, we have iOS, we have BlackBerry, we have Windows Phone, we have different resolutions, different sizes, different capabilities. Instead of developing for 1 model, you now have to develop for 100. Next week it'll be 200. So this has made development much more complicated, much harder to chart a path through. If you remember back in the 80s when the quote was, or the wisdom was, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM, there's no simple choice here. Whatever decision you make, you're not only going to be second guessed, you're going to be third guessed, fourth guessed, and probably fifth guessed. So it behooves you to take the time and understand what mobile development is about and what your options are. And that there are two major approaches. Native development, where we develop specifically for a particular device using the tools created for that device and developing for the operating system, or to create web applications that will run on many devices. So given that, the question everybody wants to know, and if you think the religious wars or something, which is best? This is the question of the ages. And I'm here to give you the answer. So, obviously, that's not an answer that you can take back to your companies and use to make your decisions. But the real answer is there is no best. It really, really, really depends on what you need, what you want to do, and perhaps what your projected needs are. What are some of the trade-offs? The native side, you will get, if you put in the time and effort. Believe me, anybody can create a crappy application. That hasn't changed. You will get the best user interface. You will have the best performance. You'll have better integration with application stores, and you'll have better access to device features. These are given. If you use the tools intended for the platform, you'll have better results than tools that are intended to work with tools that work with the platform. On the website, well, I get one project, one application that I can run all on these devices. I have less development time. Are you going by 5.7 or 8.10? 5. It's 8 to 10. Okay, so, thank you. You can reuse web developers. And because there's less specific knowledge of every single platform, your path will generally be easier. I have to remember to point this at the computer, not at the screen. So native development, you've got 4 major platforms, 3 different languages. iOS uses Xcode and Objective-C. Android uses Android Studio and Java. Windows Phone uses Visual Studio and typically C#. And BlackBerry uses Eclipse and Java. There's a lot of domain knowledge in this. You might have to you have to hire 4 different people. So, web applications, generally you've got web developer knowledge, CSS, HTML. What are some of the approaches that you can use? You could create custom hybrid where you create the container in the application and then just use web views. It's kind of like having a foot in both worlds. You could use something like PhoneGap based on Apache Cordova, which is a container that does a lot of the custom hybrid work. You'll have 4 development environments, but they'll basically include the same files. Abstracts out some of the work for you. You could have Accelerator, which is very similar to the PhoneGap approach. The different vendors take on it. I haven't worked with that one myself, although I've heard a lot of people say good things about it. Or Icenium. Icenium is based on Cordova. And not only does it abstract out a lot of the details of the particular environments, but it gives you a single container in a single place to create an application. It even abstracts out creating icons, creating keys and certificates, and it walks you through the whole process. Probably is no easier way to approach development if you want to come from web development. What about UI? Well, I would have to do all of my UI widgets and everything. We've made a lot of progress in the last few years. We have jQuery Mobile that has mobile JavaScript widgets. We have Kendo UI Mobile, Ascension Touch. All of these are libraries that provide widgets that adapt themselves to the device you're running on. So you really can have an application that will run on all the devices. And I have prepared some demos to show you to give you an idea of that, but I want to get back to the main point today, which is there is no single best option. I'm showing you a lot of easy stuff in dealing with PhoneGap, Cordova, Icenium, but it's not going to give you the best app. On the other hand, if you set out to have the best car, let's call it the new Mercedes SL class, and you've only got $20,000, what would you rather have, a Toyota or half of a Mercedes? So decide what you want, pick the appropriate tools. Not everything. There is no single answer that's best for everything. And Paul here is waving the red flag, so thank you. I hope this has helped you make your business decisions.